When a stranger walked into his bedroom, tossed aside her clothes and climbed onto his bed, Jake had no idea this desperate moment would change both their lives forever. Jake had always been the kind of person who valued his quiet evenings. After 8 months of living alone in his small apartment on Maple Street, he had finally gotten used to the silence. No more arguments about dirty dishes. No more tension hanging in the air like a thick fog. Just him, his books, and the peaceful hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. That Tuesday evening started like any other. He had come home from his job, at the local hardware store, heated up some leftover pizza, and settled into his favorite spot on the bed with a mystery novel. The rain was coming down hard outside, drumming against his window like impatient fingers. It was the kind of weather that made you grateful to be indoors. Jake was just getting to the good part of his book when he heard something that made his blood run cold. The unmistakable sound of his front door opening. His first thought was that someone had broken in. His heart started pounding as he sat perfectly still listening. But the footsteps weren't trying to be quiet. They were confident, purposeful, like someone who belonged there. "Hello?" He called out, his voice cracking slightly. "Is someone there?" The footsteps stopped for a moment, then continued toward his bedroom. Jake quickly got up and grabbed the baseball bat he kept beside his dresser. His mind was racing through possibilities. Maybe it was his landlord, Mrs. Chen, checking on something. But she always knocked first. Maybe it was his ex-wife coming back for more of her things, but she had taken everything months ago. Then she appeared in his doorway. Jake nearly dropped, the bat in surprise. Standing there, dripping wet and looking exhausted, was Lily. He recognized her immediately, even though it had been years since he'd seen her. She was Ryan's little sister, though she wasn't so little anymore. The last time he'd talked to her was at Ryan's wedding 5 years ago, and even then it was just polite small talk. But here she was, in his bedroom doorway, looking like she'd been through the worst day of her life. "Lily," Jake said, lowering the bat. "What are you doing here? How did you even get in?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she just stood there for a moment, taking in deep breaths like she'd been running. Her long, dark hair was plastered to her head from the rain, and her clothes were soaked through. She had a small backpack slung over one shoulder and was shivering. Without saying a word, she dropped the backpack on his floor and started taking off her wet jacket. Then she kicked off her muddy sneakers, leaving them by the door. Jake watched in complete confusion as she walked past him and climbed right onto his bed, curling up on top of the covers like a cat seeking warmth. "Lily, what's going on?" Jake asked, his voice gentler now. He could see that something was seriously wrong. "Are you okay?" She pulled her knees up to her chest and closed her eyes. For a moment, Jake thought she might have fallen asleep. But then she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "I remembered the spare key," she said. "Under the fake rock by the steps. Ryan told me you never moved it." Jake had completely forgotten about that key. He'd hidden it there when he first moved in, back when Ryan used to visit sometimes. It seemed like a lifetime ago. "But Lily, you can't just—" "I know," she interrupted, finally opening her eyes to look at him. "I know this is crazy. I know I shouldn't be here, but I didn't know where else to go." Jake could see tears starting to form in her eyes, though she was trying hard to hold them back. Whatever had brought her here, it was serious. He set the bat aside and sat down in the chair by his desk, giving her some space. "Okay," he said calmly. "You're here now. That's what matters. But you're soaked to the bone. Let me get you some dry clothes and we can talk." He went to his dresser and pulled out an old college sweatshirt and some sweatpants. They would be too big for her, but at least they were warm and dry. "The bathroom's right across the hall," he said, handing her the clothes. "There are clean towels in the cabinet. Take your time." Lily took the clothes without looking at him. "Thank you," she said quietly. While she was changing, Jake tried to piece together what might have happened. Lily lived in Colorado, last he'd heard. That was over 1,000 miles away. What could have brought her all the way here, to his door, in the middle of a rainstorm? He went to the kitchen and started making tea, figuring she'd need something warm. As he waited for the water to boil, he called Ryan's number, but it went straight to voicemail. He decided not to leave a message yet. Whatever was going on, Lily should be the one to explain it. When she came back to the living room, she looked a little better. The sweatshirt hung loose on her small frame, and she had used the towel to dry her hair. But Jake could still see the exhaustion in her eyes and something else, fear. "Feel better?" he asked, handing her a steaming mug of chamomile tea. She nodded and wrapped her hands around the warm cup. "Jake, I need to tell you something, and I need to ask you a huge favor." "I'm listening," he said, settling into the chair across from her. "I drove here from Colorado," she began, her voice shaky. "I've been driving for 2 days straight. My car broke down about 3 blocks from here, and I've been walking in the rain for hours trying to find your apartment." Jake listened without interrupting, sensing there was much more to the story. "I left everything behind," she continued. "My job, my apartment, everything. And I can't go back." The way she said those last words sent a chill down Jake's spine. Something had scared her badly enough to drive halfway across the country in the middle of the night. Jake waited patiently as Lily sipped her tea, her hands still trembling slightly around the warm mug. The rain continued to pound against his windows, creating a steady rhythm that filled the silence between them. He could see her gathering courage to tell him whatever had brought her to his door in the middle of the night. "Take your time," he said softly. "I'm not going anywhere." Lily looked up at him with grateful eyes. "I was living with someone in Denver," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "His name was Tyler. We'd been together for almost 2 years. She paused, staring down into her tea as if the answers to all her problems might be floating there. "First, everything seemed perfect. He was charming, funny, and he made me feel special. But slowly things started to change. Little things at first. He didn't like my friends, said they were a bad influence on me. He convinced me to stop seeing them." Jake felt a knot forming in his stomach. He'd heard stories like this before, and they never ended well. Then he started questioning everything I did. Where I went, who I talked to, how I spent my money. He said it was because he loved me and wanted to protect me. I actually believed that for a while. Lily set down her mug and pulled the oversized sweatshirt tighter around herself, as if trying to create a protective barrier. "He got me to quit my job at the bookstore. Said he made enough money for both of us and that I should focus on taking care of him and the apartment. Before I knew it, I had no income, no friends, and no way to leave even if I wanted to." Jake's hands clenched into fists, but he kept his voice calm. "What happened to make you finally leave?" "Last week he threw a plate at me during dinner. It missed my head by inches and shattered against the wall behind me. That's when I realized that things weren't going to get better. They were only going to get worse." The room fell silent except for the sound of rain. Jake could see the pain in Lily's eyes, but also something else, determination. "I started planning my escape. I had a secret savings account that my grandmother left me, one that Tyler didn't know about. I slowly gathered important documents and a few clothes, hiding them at work." "You were still working?" Jake asked. "I got a part-time job at a coffee shop without telling him. I said I was going to yoga classes. It wasn't much money, but it gave me a reason to leave the apartment and some hope that I could eventually get out." Lily stood up and walked to the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. 3 days ago, Tyler found out about the job. He was furious. He grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me so hard I thought he might actually hurt me. That night, while he was sleeping, I took my chance. "You left in the middle of the night?" "I packed everything I could fit in one backpack and took my car. I drove straight through, only stopping for gas and coffee. I knew if I stopped for too long I might lose my nerve and go back." Jake joined her at the window. "But why did you come here? Why not go to Ryan or your parents?" Lily's shoulders sagged. "Tyler knows about my family. He's met Ryan, he knows where my parents live. I was afraid he might look for me there first. But we barely know each other. I remembered Ryan mentioning once that you lived in this town, and I thought maybe, just maybe, you might help me." "Of course I'll help you," Jake said without hesitation. "But Lily, your car broke down. How are you going to get around? Do you have a plan?" "I don't know," she admitted, her voice breaking slightly. "I used most of my savings on gas to get here. I have maybe $300 left. I know I need to find a job, a place to stay, but right now I'm just trying to figure out how to Make it through tomorrow. Jake put a gentle hand on her shoulder. Hey, look at me. You've already done the hardest part. You got out. You're safe now. We'll figure out the rest together. Lily turned to face him, tears finally spilling over. I can't ask you to do that. You barely know me. This isn't your problem. You didn't ask, Jake said firmly. I'm offering. You can stay here as long as you need to get back on your feet. The couch is comfortable, I promise. Jake, I can't. Yes, you can. Listen, I know what it's like to start over. 8 months ago, I was going through my own difficult situation. Not the same as yours, but hard in its own way. Sometimes we all need help to get back on track. For the first time since she'd arrived, Lily smiled. It was small and tentative, but it was real. Thank you, she whispered. I promise I'll find a way to pay you back. The only thing I want you to worry about right now is getting some rest. Tomorrow we'll figure out what to do about your car and start looking at job opportunities. This town isn't big, but there are decent places to work. As Jake set up the couch with blankets and pillows, Lily sat at his small kitchen table looking around the modest apartment. Jake? She called softly. Yeah? How did you know? How did you know I needed help just by looking at me? Jake paused, thinking about his answer. I guess I recognize something in your eyes. The same look I had 8 months ago when my world fell apart. Sometimes life knocks us down so hard we forget we have the strength to get back up. But you do have that strength, Lily. You proved it by getting here. The next morning, Jake woke up to the smell of coffee brewing in his kitchen. For a moment, he was confused. Then he remembered the events of the previous night. He got dressed quickly and found Lily standing by the window holding a steaming mug and looking out at the street. Morning, he said softly, not wanting to startle her. How did you sleep? Better than I have in months, she replied, turning to face him. In the morning light, Jake could see that she looked more rested, though still fragile. I hope you don't mind that I made coffee. I wanted to do something to help. Of course I don't mind. Thank you. They sat at his small kitchen table, sharing a simple breakfast of toast and eggs. Jake noticed that Lily ate slowly as if savoring every bite. So, Jake said, pulling out his phone, I looked up some information about your car situation. There's a good mechanic about 4 blocks from where you broke down. His name is Pete, and he's honest. I can give him a call if you want. Lily nodded, gratefully. That would be great. I'm just hoping it's something simple and not too expensive. An hour later, they walked together to where Lily had left her car. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet, and puddles reflected the gray sky above. Lily's car, a small blue sedan that had seen better days, sat by the curb looking as tired as she had the night before. Pete the mechanic arrived within 20 minutes of Jake's call. He was a friendly man in his 50s with grease-stained hands and a warm smile. Let's take a look at what we've got here, Pete said, popping the hood. After a few minutes of examining the engine, he straightened up. Good news and bad news. The good news is it's fixable. Bad news is you need a new alternator, and it's going to cost about $400. Jake watched Lily's face fall. He knew that was more money than she had. How long would the repair take? Jake asked. I can have it done by tomorrow afternoon if I get the part ordered today, Pete replied. Can you give us a minute to discuss it? Jake requested. Pete nodded and walked back to his truck to give them privacy. I don't have $400, Lily said quietly, staring at her broken car. I do, Jake said simply. Jake, no, I can't let you pay for my car repairs. You've already done so much. Listen to me, Jake said, turning to face her fully. Consider it a loan. You can pay me back when you get a job. Your car is your independence. Without it, you're stuck. Lily looked like she might cry again. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to thank me. Just promise me you'll use this chance to build a better life for yourself. After Pete towed the car to his shop, Jake and Lily spent the afternoon walking around town. Jake showed her the main shopping area, the library, and several places that might be hiring. That bookstore looks nice, Lily said, stopping in front of a cozy shop called Chapter and Verse. The owner is Mrs. Patterson. She's been here for about 15 years. Want to go in and ask if they're hiring? Inside the bookstore, Mrs. Patterson, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and silver hair, was arranging a display of new releases. Jake introduced Lily and mentioned that she was looking for work. "What's your experience?" Mrs. Patterson asked. "I worked at an independent bookstore in Denver for 2 years," Lily replied. "I know inventory systems, customer service, and I love recommending books to customers." Mrs. Patterson's eyes lit up. "Would you be available to start this week? My part-time employee just gave notice and I desperately need help." Lily looked at Jake, then back at Mrs. Patterson. "Yes, absolutely. When can I start?" "How about tomorrow morning? We can do a trial run and see how it goes." Walking out of the bookstore with a job lined up, Lily seemed like a different person than the frightened woman who had appeared in Jake's doorway the night before. "I can't believe this," she said, practically bouncing with excitement. "A job just like that." "This town has good people," Jake said. "They look out for each other." That evening, as they sat on Jake's couch watching an old movie, Lily turned to him. "Jake, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Last night you said you went through your own difficult situation 8 months ago. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?" Jake was quiet for a moment. "My wife and I got divorced. We'd been together for 6 years, married for 3. Things just fell apart. She wanted different things than I did, and we couldn't find a way to make it work. I'm sorry, that must have been really hard." "It was. For a while I thought my life was over. I had to start completely fresh. New apartment, learning to live alone, figuring out who I was without her. Some days I didn't even want to get out of bed." "What changed?" Jake smiled slightly. "Time, mostly. And realizing that sometimes the end of one chapter is just the beginning of a better one. I started focusing on the things that made me happy. Reading, working with my hands at the hardware store, having my own space arranged exactly how I wanted it." "Do you ever regret it? The divorce?" "No," Jake said honestly. "It was painful, but it was right. We're both happier now. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from something that isn't working, even when it's scary." Lily nodded thoughtfully. "I never thought of leaving as brave. I always felt like I was running away." "You weren't running away from something good, Lily. You were running towards something better. There's a big difference." As the movie ended and they prepared for bed, Jake realized that having Lily there had made his apartment feel more like a home than it had in months. Maybe helping her heal would help him heal too. 3 weeks into her new life, Lily had settled into a routine that felt almost normal. She would wake up early, make coffee for both herself and Jake, then walk to the bookstore, where Mrs. Patterson had become like a grandmother to her. The work was exactly what she needed: quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by stories of people overcoming difficulties. Jake had insisted she keep sleeping on the couch, even though she'd offered multiple times to find her own place. "Save your money," he would say. "Build up a good foundation before you move out on your own." Their friendship had grown naturally. They would cook dinner together, share stories about their day, and watch movies on weekends. Lily found herself laughing more than she had in years. Jake discovered that having someone to care about again made him feel more like himself. But on that Wednesday morning, everything changed. Lily was arranging new books in the front window of the store when she saw him. Tyler was walking down Main Street looking into shop windows with that determined expression she knew so well. Her hands started shaking so badly she nearly dropped the book she was holding. She ducked behind the display, her heart pounding. How had he found her? She had been so careful, so sure that she was safe. Mrs. Patterson noticed immediately. "Lily, dear, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I need to call Jake," Lily whispered, her voice trembling. "Right now." Mrs. Patterson handed her the phone without asking questions. Jake answered on the second ring. "Jake, he's here," Lily said, trying to keep her voice low. "Tyler is here in town. I just saw him walking down Main Street." "Where are you right now?" "At the bookstore. Mrs. Patterson is with me." "Stay there. Don't leave the store for any reason. I'm coming to get you. Jake arrived within 10 minutes, his face serious but calm. Mrs. Patterson had already locked the front door and put up the closed sign. Did he see you? Jake asked. I don't think so. But Jake, how did he find me? I was so careful. It doesn't matter how right now. What matters is keeping you safe. Jake turned to Mrs. Patterson. Would it be okay if Lily stays here for a little while? I need to figure out what he's doing in town. Of course. We'll be fine here. Jake squeezed Lily's hand. I'm going to walk around and see if I can spot him. I want to know if he's alone and what he's up to. Keep the doors locked and don't answer if anyone knocks unless it's me. After Jake left, Lily and Mrs. Patterson sat in the back office. Lily told her the whole story about Tyler and why she had come to town. That young man Jake is good people, Mrs. Patterson said firmly. He'll figure this out. An hour later, Jake returned with news. I found him. He's staying at the motel on Highway 9. I talked to the desk clerk. He checked in this morning and asked directions to the bookstore specifically. Lily's blood ran cold. He knows where I work, but he doesn't know where you're staying. I made sure of that. I also called the police and explained the situation. Officer Martinez said they can't do much since Tyler hasn't actually done anything illegal yet, but they'll keep an eye on him. What am I going to do, Jake? I can't live my life hiding forever. Jake sat down beside her. You're not going to hide. We're going to face this together. But first, you're not going home to my apartment today. I arranged for you to stay with Mrs. Patterson tonight. Oh, I couldn't impose. Nonsense, Mrs. Patterson interrupted. I have a lovely guest room and I'd enjoy the company. Besides, my late husband always said that good people should stick together when times get tough. That evening at Mrs. Patterson's cozy house, Lily barely touched her dinner. She kept looking toward the windows, expecting to see Tyler's face, peering in. He'll get tired of looking and leave, Mrs. Patterson said gently. Men like that usually do when they realize they can't control the situation. But Tyler didn't leave. The next morning, he was waiting outside the bookstore when they arrived for work. Lily saw him from half a block away and froze. We're going back to my house, Mrs. Patterson said immediately. No, Lily said, surprising herself with the firmness in her voice. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of being scared. Jake appeared, at that moment having come to check on them. What's the plan? I'm going to talk to him, Lily said. In public where it's safe with both of you nearby. I need to tell him to leave and that I'm never coming back. Jake looked worried. Lily, I don't think that's a good idea. I have to do this, Jake. If I don't face him now, I'll always be looking over my shoulder. They walked toward the bookstore together. Tyler saw them coming and stepped forward with that charming smile Lily remembered so well. Lily, there you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. He spoke as if they'd just been separated at a grocery store, not as if she'd fled from him in the middle of the night. Tyler, you need to leave, Lily said, her voice stronger than she felt. I'm not coming back with you. Come on, baby. We can work this out. I know you're upset, but running away isn't the answer. I'm not running away anymore. I'm building a new life and you're not part of it. Tyler's smile faded slightly. His eyes shifted to Jake, then back to Lily. Who's this? Your new boyfriend? I'm her friend, Jake said calmly. And I think you should respect her wishes and leave. This is between me and Lily, Tyler said, his voice taking on an edge that Lily recognized all too well. No, it's not, Lily said firmly. There is no me and you anymore, Tyler. I'm done. I want you to go back to Denver and forget about me. Tyler stepped closer and Jake immediately moved between them. I think you should go, Jake said quietly. For a moment, Tyler looked like he might argue, but there were people starting to stop and watch, and Officer Martinez was walking toward them from across the street. This isn't over, Tyler said to Lily. Yes, it is, she replied. Tyler looked around at the small crowd that had gathered, at Officer Martinez approaching, at Jake standing protectively beside Lily. Finally, he turned and walked away. Are you okay? Jake asked. Lily realized she was shaking, but not from fear this time, from relief. I think so. I actually think I am. Officer Martinez reached them. Everything all right here? I think it will be, Lily said, watching Tyler's figure disappear around the corner. I really think it will be. 6 months had passed since that confrontation with Tyler, and Lily could hardly believe how much her life had changed. Tyler had left town that same day and hadn't contacted her since. She had started seeing a counselor, Dr. Williams, who helped her work through the fear and self-doubt that had built up over those difficult years. The bookstore had become her sanctuary. Mrs. Patterson had made her assistant manager and was even talking about retiring in a few years, with Lily potentially taking over. Lily had also started a photography hobby again, something she'd loved in college but had given up when Tyler convinced her it was a waste of time. Her friendship with Jake had deepened in ways that surprised them both. They had become each other's closest confidant, sharing dreams and fears they'd never told anyone else. But lately, Lily had started noticing things about Jake that had nothing to do with friendship. The way he smiled when he saw her in the morning, how safe she felt when he was around, how her heart sped up when their hands accidentally touched. She wasn't sure if Jake felt the same way, and she was afraid to risk their friendship by bringing it up. Meanwhile, Jake was dealing with similar feelings. Watching Lily bloom into the confident, happy person she was meant to be had been one of the most rewarding experiences of his life. But somewhere along the way, his protective feelings had grown into something deeper. He found himself looking forward to their evenings together more than anything else in his day. The problem was he didn't want to pressure her or make her feel uncomfortable. She had been through so much, and he knew she needed stability, not complications. The situation came to a head on a Saturday evening in late spring. They had spent the day hiking in the nearby state park, taking pictures with Lily's new camera. As the sun was setting, they found themselves sitting on a rock overlooking the valley below. "Jake," Lily said softly, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't shown up that night, if I had gone somewhere else instead?" Jake considered the question seriously. "Honestly, I think we both would have been fine eventually, but I think we would have been fine alone. Together we're something better." Lily turned to look at him. "What do you mean?" "I mean that helping you helped me heal from my divorce in ways I never expected. Having someone to care about again reminded me what it felt like to be truly alive, not just going through the motions." "Jake, I need to tell you something." He could hear the nervousness in her voice. "What is it?" "I think I'm falling in love with you." The words hung in the air between them. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. "But I'm scared," she continued quickly. "I'm scared that I don't know the difference between gratitude and love. I'm scared that you only care about me because you feel sorry for me. I'm scared that I'll mess this up somehow." Jake reached over and took her hand. "Lily, look at me." She turned to face him fully. "I've been falling for you too, but not because I feel sorry for you. Because of who you are. Your strength, your kindness, the way you laugh at bad movies, how you remember every customer's favorite book genre. You're not the broken person who showed up at my door 6 months ago. You're someone who survived something difficult and came out stronger." "Really?" "Really. But I want you to be sure. Take some time to think about it. There's no rush." Lily smiled, the first completely carefree smile Jake had seen from her. "I don't need time. I've been thinking about it for weeks." 3 months later, Lily moved into her own small apartment above the bookstore. It was important to her to prove she could stand on her own before taking the next step with Jake. They dated properly, going to dinner, taking weekend trips, meeting each other's friends and family. Ryan visited that summer and was amazed by the transformation in his little sister. "She's like a completely different person," he told Jake over coffee. "Thank you for being there when she needed someone." "She saved me just as much as I helped her," Jake replied honestly. A year later, at Mrs. Patterson's retirement party, Jake proposed to Lily in the bookstore where she had rebuilt her life. Surrounded by friends who had become family, Lily said yes without hesitation. During her speech at the engagement party, Lily told their story to the gathered friends and family. "Sometimes," she said, "the bravest thing you can do is trust a stranger with your broken heart. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, that stranger becomes the person who helps you put it back together stronger than before." Jake raised his glass. Here's to second chances, new beginnings, and finding love in the most unexpected places. As their friends cheered around them, Jake and Lily realized that their story hadn't been about rescue at all. It had been about two people finding each other at exactly the right moment, when they both needed to remember what it meant to truly live again.